All right, let's get right into it. If you're someone who wants to build AI, not just use it, then this is for you. This is your complete roadmap to becoming an AI engineer, one of the most in-demand jobs out there. We're going to break the whole thing down step by step.
And, why would you even want to go on this journey? Well, how about this for a start? The top AI engineers, they're pulling in over $500,000 a year. It's easily one of the highest paying roles in the entire tech industry right now.
But it's not just about the money, not at all. Think about the job security. In a world where everyone's a little worried about AI taking their job, well, who do you think it's going to be safe? The people building the AI, of course. It's a career that's not just paying well, it's about as future-proof as it gets. So, here's our game plan for today. First, we'll nail down what an AI engineer actually does. Then, we'll map out the different ways you can learn this stuff. We'll get into the nitty-gritty of the core concepts you have to know, how to pick a specialty, and, this is a big one, how to build projects that prove you've got the skills. And finally, we'll look at the salaries and job outlook. Okay, first things first. Before you start any journey, you've got to know where you're going, right? So let's define the destination. What exactly is an AI engineer?
So at its heart, an AI engineer is both an architect and a builder. They're the ones who take all these powerful ideas, like machine learning or deep learning, and they turn them into real, working applications that solve actual problems.
Now you might be thinking, hold on, isn't that just a machine learning engineer? And that's a super common question. People use the titles interchangeably all the time, but there's actually a really important difference in what they focus on.
I love this analogy. Think of a big, fancy restaurant kitchen. The AI engineer, they're the head chef. They design the whole menu, they run the kitchen, they make sure every single dish comes together to create an amazing dining experience. The machine learning engineer, they're like the master pastry chef, a deep specialist who absolutely perfects one critical part of that meal.
So here's the bottom line. The ML engineer goes deep on the model itself, training it, tuning it, making that algorithm as perfect as it can be. The AI engineer has a much broader view. They take that amazing model and build the entire system around it, integrating it into a real product that people can actually use, like a chatbot or a recommendation engine.
Okay, so we know what an AI engineer does. The next big question is, how do you become one? Well, there are really three main paths you can take to get started. Path number one is the traditional route, getting a university degree in something like computer science or math. Path two is all about online courses and certifications, structured learning from all the great platforms out there. And path three is the scrappy, self-taught route, piecing it all together with free resources, YouTube, and research papers. Honestly, there is no right answer here. It's all about what's going to work best for you.
Whichever path you choose, though, everyone has to build the same foundational toolkit. So let's open up that toolbox and look at the core concepts you absolutely have to master.
Look, before you even think about AI models, you need these three pillars. First, being really good at Python is non-negotiable. Second, you need a solid math foundation. We're talking linear algebra, calculus, and probability. And finally, you've got to know your computer science fundamentals, like data structures and algorithms. This is the bedrock everything else is built on.
Once that foundation is solid, you start layering on the core AI concepts. You've got supervised learning, that's basically teaching the AI by showing it tons of examples with the correct answers. Then there's unsupervised learning, where you give it a messy pile of data and tell it to find interesting patterns on its own. Deep learning uses these complex things called neural networks for really hard problems. You'll need to know natural language processing, or NLP, to teach machines to understand our language, and reinforcement learning, which is super cool. It's like training a dog with treats and penalties. And of course, you have to learn how to actually measure if your models are any good, using metrics like accuracy and precision.
And to actually do all that stuff, you need the right tools. For the heavy-duty deep learning, you'll live in frameworks like TensorFlow and PyTorch. For other machine learning tasks, scikit-learn is your best friend. And trust me, you are going to spend so much time using pandas and NumPy to slice and dice your data. Mastering these specific libraries is how you go from theory to actually writing code that works.
Wow, okay, that was a lot. I know. The field of AI is absolutely massive, and you can't be an expert in everything. So the next logical step is to find your niche. A really powerful way to think about this is called T-shaped learning. The horizontal bar of the T is you learning a little bit about everything, all those core concepts we just talked about. But the vertical part of the T, that's you picking one area that you find totally fascinating and just going deep, becoming a true specialist. So what can you specialize in? Well, the options are pretty incredible.
You could dive into natural language processing and build the next generation of chatbots. Or maybe computer vision, helping cars see the world around them. You could even specialize in the infrastructure itself, ML ops, or jump into the hottest field right now, generative AI.
All right, knowing the theory is great. Having a specialization is important. But none of it means anything if you can't prove you can actually build stuff. And that brings us to what is maybe the most critical part of this whole journey: hands-on projects.
Look, you have to start small to learn the ropes. Building a spam email filter is a classic for a reason. But pretty quickly, you need to level up. Think bigger. Build a complex image classifier or a full-blown chatbot. These advanced projects force you to think like a real engineer, because you'll run into real-world problems like how fast your system responds, or what to do when your model's performance starts to degrade over time.
And here is a piece of pro-level advice. Don't just build these projects for your own computer. Build them in public. Push your code to GitHub. Write a clear, detailed explanation of what you built, the problems you solved, and what you learned along the way. That becomes your portfolio. That is your proof.
So, you've put in all that hard work. You've mastered the concepts. You've built an awesome portfolio. Let's talk about the payoff. Let's bring this whole thing full circle.
To put it simply, the demand for this role is absolutely exploding. Healthcare, finance, entertainment, you name it, every single major industry is scrambling to hire skilled AI engineers. They know they need this talent to survive and to innovate.
And that insane demand leads directly to incredible salaries. Right out of the gate, an entry-level engineer in the US can expect to be making well into six figures. As you get more experience, that number just climbs and climbs, with senior engineers regularly pulling in anywhere from $250,000 to over $500,000 a year.
Listen, becoming an AI engineer is a marathon, not a sprint. It takes real dedication and a passion for learning. But the path is clearer than ever, and the opportunity is absolutely massive. So really, there's only one question left to ask yourself. What are you going to build first?